Das ist die krasseste Sammlung, die ich je gesehen habe. Ich wollte es niemandem vorenthalten, deswegen dachte ich mir, schauen wir das mal zusammen an. So eine Sammlung ist mir noch nie untergekommen. So, das gibt es auch leider nur in Amerika. Ich habe euch deswegen auch die deutschen Untertitel angemacht. Da wird auch viel Quatsch dann mit den Untertiteln gemacht. Ich recappe das Ganze immer noch und werde auch in den Abschnitten dann immer noch ein bisschen was dazu sagen.
You know, you have like a swamp that's actually a drudge skeleton. See, so you have the
Also was man hier gleich vorweg sieht, Herde geplagten Skelette, das ist tatsächlich ein deutscher Printrun dann in dem Fall. Und eigentlich soll das für 2 Mana ein 1-1er mit, das sieht man hier auch noch ganz gleich, mit ein schwarzes Regenerieren sein. Ist aber tatsächlich ein Fehldruck, weil da einfach nur ein Sumpf abgebildet ist. Kein Drogenskelett, sondern ein geplagtes Skelett. Und er wollte ein Drudge-Skeleton sagen, aber gibt es natürlich in Deutsch jetzt nicht so gut zum Übersetzen.
land and the art, but then you have everything else. Drudge skeleton. This is a strip mine. New border? Yeah, well, it's a mistake, obviously.
He was collecting one of every set. He kind of got through all the hurdles of all that stuff and just really didn't have anything else to collect. So he just started collecting a bunch of weird stuff and it just kind of grew from there.
My name is Keith Adams. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I am a Magic the Gathering collector. Right here is an example of where the front is fine, but the back is not. I have been since 1994, and in about 2002, I started collecting misprints. And it started off innocently at first, but it only got worse from then on.
It's a strange thing because some of you can't play with, so to
Müsste mir überlegen, der Mann sammelt Missprints, das ist halt crazy. Ich habe die Lautstärke jetzt auch nochmal ein bisschen lauter gemacht, dass es vielleicht ein bisschen einfacher noch verstehen wird und dann nicht immer weniger Lautstärke bei mir, mehr Lautstärke bei ihm macht. Und ja, da sieht man auch mal, wie weit man dann halt damit kommen kann und dass man halt nur früh genug die Idee haben muss, ne? Und man muss ein Spiel finden, was so groß wird wie Magic.
a tournament player, they're worth nothing. But to a collector, they're worth, you know, depending on what the misprint is, like if you have.
Das ist auch sehr interessant, weil jetzt weiß ich nicht halt, wo ihr aktiv seid, aber es gibt Foren, sowohl auf Facebook als auch auf Reddit, wo die dann halt diese Karten, die Fehldrucke haben, dann dort halt verkaufen. Und das ist immer nur so viel wert, wie halt jemand, ein Collector in dem Fall, ein Sammler, bereit ist zu zahlen. Und gerade diese alten Sachen kamen ja nicht so häufig vor. Deswegen ist sowas mittlerweile enorm viel mehr wert. Aber ja, heutzutage ist es normal, wenn eine Karte bei Magic halt nicht normal ist.
If you have a miscut card that you can see like 4 different cards on, those cards are just so rare that you know, they're worth, depending on the cards that you can see, like between 100 and 500 or maybe even 1,000 if it's foil, maybe even more than that.
There's like a handful of guys who collect them. So like for me, it's always been whenever I see one, which is very rarely, I try to pick it up and then send it to them and say, how much you give me on this, you know? And you're kind of at their mercy because like, if you don't like their price, what are you gonna do? You know, just sell it to someone else, you know?
I think collecting misprints is a lot of fun due to the fact that you just never know
Da sieht man das auch nochmal, was halt so klar so ein Fehldruck aus der Druckerei ist, weil das wisst ihr jetzt auch nicht, wie man das sonst replizieren kann.
what you're gonna get or where. With normal cards, especially when you collect sets, it's not difficult to have everything. All you need is a little bit of money and time and patience, and you can complete sets of normal Magic cards. And I do find that fun, but you just never know what type of cards you're going to find when it comes to misprint.
Da sieht man jetzt auch als erstes so einen Doppel-Cut und der passiert tatsächlich heutzutage seltener. Und wenn ich das hier in der Sammlung anschaue, war das damals auch sehr unüblich, aber
I
deutlicher.
find that a lot more fun. What we have here are some
Schau dich das an. Also es sieht dann zusammengestellt, sieht das schon sehr genial aus.
miscuts from alliances that are from the same sheet and they connect. So I just have them put in a row so it's obvious that they go together. I have another sheet of the same thing. Now this sheet here, these 5 connect, and I've been working on getting the artist to sign them. I just found that artist, so that will be interesting. I have more of the same. Now, as I was mentioning earlier, miscut popular cards go for more, and here is a foreign black border, City of Brass.
His might be one of the most unique collections just because he's got so many, you know, there's only 3 of this card in existence, like the foil.
Ich habe dazu auch gesehen, da ist jetzt erst die Tage ein Update-Video zu dem gekommen. Ich habe auf Reddit geschaut, wo der Typ aktuell aktiv ist. Nirgendwo, aber out of the blue, nach mehreren Jahren haben die wieder ein Video darüber gemacht. Also lasst gerne ein Abo da und schreibt mir rein, ob ich mehr Reactions machen soll.
Dragon Whelp, the original test print foil Dragon Whelps.
Here we have a revised Dragon Whelp in which it
Sowas findest du nirgends.
has a three-dimensional sticker applied over the artwork. This was their original concept for foils, but it got
Huch, Kopfschmerzen.
rejected. The two most common types of misprints that you're going to find would be cards that are crimped. They'll have a ridge up at the top or the bottom, or cards that are miscut. And unfortunately, a lot of people use the word miscut loosely, but for those of us who truly collect, when it becomes a miscut is when it shows more than one card, and those are the two that you're going to find most often. And they don't go for a whole heck of a lot until we start talking about more expensive and playable cards.
Misprints are all about who has them and who's getting them. If you're trading to someone else who knows, they're worth, you know, a decent amount. But, you know, two casual kitchen table players who have them, they're worth nothing.
Here we have some Mercadian masked rares in which
Leute, diese Foils von damals, die sind eh schon mittlerweile ziemlich viel wert, weil es davon nicht viele gibt. Und dann ist auch noch ein Missprint.
the back is upside down. It exists in only the foil rare.
Der Fug?
Here we have a card that has a front on both sides. Here we have Mercadian mask commons in which we have a front and a back on one side, and then we have a normal back on the other. Here we have some antiquities cards in which
Also es ist spannend, dass es sowas gibt, ne? Habe ich noch nie
they were
gesehen.
test prints. The backs look like this, but the front looks like a normal card.
Die Karte alleine schon mehrere tausend wert. Und dann mit dem Fehldruck, wenn du da den richtigen findest, ich weiß ja gar nicht, wie man das dann mit dem Graden macht.
Most of the cards in there are just awesome stuff you'll never see anywhere else. The uniqueness to it is mind-blowing. You can sit down at
Vor allem das Krasse ist, wird es dann noch heftiger.
a table, open up to the first page, and a crowd will just gather around them.
This is a front and a front on the same side. So the only ones I've ever seen like this are Fallen Empires. They have commons and then uncommons on the same sheet. Here we have a counterspell from 5th edition with this on the back. The front of the card is normal. And here we have two cards from Fallen Empires in which they have a normal front and then they have a front and a back on the other side. And here we have some mistakes with foils. This has like a grill mark, and then this is a test print that has no text.
Der hat einfach Testprint-Karten da drin.
And here we have other general printing errors on these three cards. Another player in Cincinnati, Ohio was selling his collection, and in his collection he had a moderate amount of misprints, and a few of them were actually very good. I still have them. And I told him that when I was going to purchase his collection that I thought it would be fun to keep them and try to expand it. I had no desire to sell them. He was very happy about that, and I still run into him every few years and show him how things have been just growing. And I really find collecting misprints more fun than going for a normal Magic set. You have a box that just goes over. You can actually see it. You can see a box printed like over it. Very subtle.
Diese Karte tut man unter normalen Umständen, also die Kaneba, die mehrere tausend Euro wert ist, tust du unter normalen Umständen nicht einfach so auf ohne Hüllen da irgendwie auf den Tisch klatschen.
But it's there.
You get a whole flavor. Like you get misprints from alpha and beta, and then you get to see cards that were never officially released. Like it's like a behind the scenes for that almost. And then you get to see things that you just don't see every day from all the sets of Magic that have ever had a misprint. It's like a history lesson. It's like a Magic history lesson just looking through Keith's binder.
This is an invitational deck. I have all 90 cards. You had to choose whether or not you were going to play with them. Every card cost less or more than its original casting cost. These are pre-alpha cards. Before the game was ever printed, they had to decide how good or how bad cards were before they could print them. And here are some examples. And a few years later, they were printing the Dark series, in which they have a nicer, higher quality paper of the cards that include its title and even its rarity and its ability. I think misprints within Magic the Gathering will always have a value so long as Magic the Gathering itself has a value. I think as long as the game stays active and strong and people want to play it, misprints will always be a part of it and always have a place. Now these are pre-alpha cards. Okay, before Alpha was.
Also selbst die schlechteste Alpha-Karte ist 10, 20 Euro wert und danach ist nur Luft nach oben halt. Und der dafür die Karten vor dem Druck, gibt es auch nicht viele davon.
Around, they had to play with their cards.
It's unreal. It's the best misprint collection I've ever seen. I know there might be similar collections or even better collections, but I've never seen it. And Keith is well known in the misprint community. If he doesn't have it, he can find it, or he's seen it and he can tell you about it. I mean, the man has alpha playtest cards. 3 decks of alpha playtest cards. That's just mind-boggling to even think about. That you can play the cards that Richard Garfield was playing when he was designing the game. I mean, that's Magic history.
Episch, oder?